Have you ever noticed that some of the best outcomes happen exactly when we stop overthinking and stressing? Why do chances seem to come our way when we stop chasing them desperately? And why does the calm we crave only show up once we quit trying to force it? This contradiction follows us constantly. We live believing that success demands struggle, planning, and constant worry. But what if the reality is the opposite? What if our fixation on control is what actually stops us from truly living? Michel de Montaigne, a brilliant and somewhat rebellious philosopher, offers a fascinating perspective on this. He lived through chaotic times, losing loved ones, battling illness, and witnessing upheaval all around him. Yet it was when he ceased trying to command every detail that he experienced a rare kind of freedom. Montaigne wasn't someone preaching absolute truths. Instead, his philosophy encouraged questioning, trying things out, and above all, letting go. He shows us that when we release the need for certainty and control, we create space for something far deeper, peace and genuine living. In this video, we'll delve into how Montaigne's ideas can guide us to live without the heavy weight of constant anxiety. We'll uncover why surrendering control can actually lead to a lighter existence, and surprisingly, one filled with more purpose. As Montaigne famously asked, "What do I know?" Michel de Montaigne was born in 1533 in France, a land torn apart by religious conflicts, political schemes, and unrest. From early on, his life was shaped by two contrasting forces, privilege and tragedy. Raised in a wealthy household, he received an outstanding education, mastering Latin from childhood and immersing himself in the leading thoughts of his era. But no amount of privilege can shield us from life's harsh truths: loss, suffering, and unpredictability. At 30, Montaigne was confronted with life's harsh realities in a brutal, relentless way. His closest friend, Etienne de la Boétie, died suddenly, leaving him heartbroken. Shortly after, his father passed away. Then a tragic accident claimed his brother's life. A tennis ball struck his head. As if this wasn't enough, Montaigne himself narrowly escaped death after a high-speed fall from a horse. To top it all off, his newborn daughter died soon after birth. Imagine enduring all this within such a short span of time. Imagine the world crumbling around you, the fragility of life impossible to ignore. Montaigne could have lost his mind, could have given in to despair, but instead he made a profound choice: to step away from public life and retreat to his country home, where he spent years in reflection and writing. In his private library, surrounded by over 1,500 books, Montaigne discovered something few ever do: a place of inner freedom. He understood that nothing external could guarantee stability or absolute safety. The only thing truly under his control was his own mind, his perspective on the world. It was within that quiet solitude that Montaigne began crafting his renowned essays, writings where he didn't aim to present absolute truths, but rather to examine his own experiences, errors, uncertainties, and contradictions. For Montaigne, understanding oneself wasn't about achieving perfection, but an ongoing practice of embracing uncertainty. He realized that much of human suffering stems from the urge to control. We tend to believe we can foresee the future, avoid hardship, and shape reality according to our desires. Yet in truth, we have very little control over what happens. The key to peace, in his view, lies not in dominating life, but in learning to coexist with its unpredictability. Montaigne's choice to retreat from society was not an act of defeat, but one of true freedom. He didn't flee from life. Rather, he found a way to live that resonated with his own sense of meaning. Removed from politics, social duties, and others' expectations, he discovered a space where he could simply exist. Perhaps one of the most valuable lessons from his journey is that sometimes we must distance ourselves from the world's clamor to hear our own voice. When we stop obsessing over pleasing others or fulfilling external demands, we uncover a kind of freedom that no one can take away. What if all we hold as truth is just a comforting illusion? What if our constant need for certainty is what fuels our anxiety? Michel de Montaigne did not pursue ultimate truths, and perhaps that is why he remains one of the most liberated thinkers in history. His famous question, "What do I know?" was not just a sign of intellectual humility, but an invitation to live differently. To him, peace wasn't about having all the solutions, but about accepting life's inherent uncertainty. Philosophers since ancient times have tried to outline the best way to live fully. The Stoics emphasized self-discipline and accepting fate, while the Epicureans focused on pleasure and simplicity as keys to happiness. Montaigne, however, charted a different course. He was wary of any philosophy claiming to have definitive answers. Influenced by skepticism, he questioned humanity's capacity to grasp absolute truth. He believed there was no single correct way to live, nor one ultimate explanation for life. The world was a shifting, contradictory place, and true wisdom was the ability to navigate this uncertainty without trying to lock it into rigid rules. This outlook stands in stark contrast to many people's approach today. We are constantly hunting for certainties, seeking guaranteed solutions to our problems, infallible advice, and foolproof formulas for success, happiness, and approval. Yet this craving for control only heightens our anxiety. Montaigne offers an alternative. Accept that we don't have all the answers, and that's perfectly fine. He understood the human mind's limits and fallibility, and warned that intellectual arrogance often brings more pain than benefit. In his essays, Montaigne wryly reflects on the great thinkers of his era, revealing that even the most brilliant minds are subject to the same illusions and frailties as everyone else. He states, "Our judgment is so delicate that most of the time it wanders in darkness. What is truth for one can be error for another." This concept may unsettle some, yet it offers a deep sense of freedom. If nothing is truly certain, then we are relieved from the pressure of having all the answers. Recognizing that our views and convictions might be mistaken allows us to become more open-minded and receptive to conversation. Moreover, Montaigne believed that embracing uncertainty makes us less inflexible, less dogmatic, and, most importantly, more tolerant of others. Living amid brutal religious conflicts between Catholics and Protestants, he saw that much of human pain came from our refusal to accept the possibility of being wrong. By letting go of the false sense of certainty, Montaigne discovered something rare: genuine peace of mind. He felt no need to prove himself or defend his perspective as the only truth, nor to cling stubbornly to beliefs that might imprison him. Instead, he observed, experimented, and learned without demanding final answers. Ultimately, Montaigne teaches that peace does not stem from certainty, but from a lightness in facing life's unpredictability. When we stop obsessing over being right, we can finally relax and breathe. What if you suddenly stop caring so much about others' opinions? What if you stop defining your value by your successes or failures? What if you embrace life's uncertainty and fluidity, realizing the true skill is not controlling everything, but adapting to it? For Montaigne, life was not a problem to solve, but an experience to live fully. His lessons came from personal hardship, witnessing sudden loss of loved ones, battling illnesses, and surviving a near-fatal accident. Through it all, He grasped the fragile nature of existence and understood that living passively is a trap. That's why he chose to radically shift his way of living. He withdrew to the countryside, dedicating himself to writing and reflecting on what it means to be human, free from the pressure of chasing grand ambitions. But don't mistake this for passivity or indifference. Montaigne was neither a fatalist who accepted everything blindly, nor a nihilist who believed life lacked meaning. What he offered was a more nuanced and empowering philosophy. He believed we should act, strive, and pursue our desires, but not become enslaved to the results. In other words, do everything within our power, but avoid despair when outcomes don't match our expectations. As he famously wrote, there is no favorable wind for the one who doesn't know where they are going. The secret lies in having a direction without obsessing over the destination. Montaigne thought that those who master life's uncertainties grow lighter, wiser, and happier. After all, the more we try to control everything, the more pain we feel when things inevitably escape our grasp. If you take a moment to reflect on your life, you might notice that the times you felt most free and joyful were when you released excessive worry. Perhaps it was when you stopped caring so much about others' opinions, when you stopped forcing things to happen, or simply when you accepted life as it came. Montaigne reminds us that life unfolds in the present moment, and that our constant fixation on the future often blinds us to the beauty right in front of us. He wrote, "He who pins his happiness on the future dooms himself to endless misery." Accepting this doesn't mean abandoning your goals or desires. Rather, it means learning to let go and flow with life instead of resisting it. Paradoxically, when we stop struggling so hard, things start to fall into place more effortlessly. Success arrives, not from obsessing over it, but from easing the pressure we place on ourselves. Montaigne teaches that genuine freedom isn't about mastering the world, but about mastering ourselves. To reach this, we need to live without attachment, with lightness, curiosity, and an openness to whatever life presents. Ultimately, Montaigne's core message is clear. Stop trying to control everything and simply live. Yet as with many simple truths, there is profound complexity beneath it. How can we truly let go of the craving for certainty, achievement, and control? Montaigne offers no quick fixes or rigid paths. Instead, he encourages us to experiment, self-reflect, and embrace our contradictions. To him, life isn't a straight course but a winding journey full of surprises, and real wisdom lies in learning to navigate these twists without despair. He warns that clinging to certainty only fuels anxiety, chasing validation traps us, and trying to control all aspects distances us from what truly matters. Ironically, success comes when we free ourselves from the need for approval and start acting from authenticity. By releasing the fixation on achievement, we open ourselves to creativity and spontaneity. By accepting life's unpredictability, we find genuine peace. Montaigne lived and died by this philosophy. His later years were devoted to writing, exploring his ideas, and witnessing life honestly, without illusions, pretenses, or facades. He understood that the greatest human error is taking ourselves too seriously, and that the key to a meaningful life is not in seeking final answers, but in learning to ask meaningful questions. So here's my question for you. What if, starting today, you let go of the burden of constant worry? What if you stopped trying to prove yourself to others? What if you simply embraced uncertainty and began living fully in the present? You would realize that true freedom lies not in controlling the world, but in liberating yourself. If you've read this far, it means that somehow this message resonated with you. And that's something powerful. We live in a time where we're constantly flooded with information, demands, and endless expectations. Taking a moment to pause and consider a different way, a lighter, more liberated path, is already a significant step forward. Michel de Montaigne reminds us that we don't have all the answers, and that life isn't meant to be a non-stop battle to prove ourselves to others. That alone is revolutionary. If this video has shifted your thinking, share in the comments which aspect of Montaigne's philosophy connected with you the most. Do you find yourself worrying too much about things beyond your control? What would it be like to let go a bit, relax, and trust life's natural flow? And naturally, if you appreciate these kinds of thoughtful reflections, you know the drill. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and drop a like. That support helps me continue creating content like this. Oh, and since we're on the subject of detachment and freedom, there's another video right here on the screen that you might find intriguing, but I won't spoil it for you. You'll have to click to discover what it's about. Maybe it will offer you a fresh new perspective too. Thank you so much for sticking around with me until now. I'll catch you in the next video.